All right, welcome to the Driveline podcast. We have Jack Lambert, Director of Baseball Operations, Tanner Stokey, Director of Hitting, and myself, Connor White, Director of High Performance. Today we're going to get into some stuff on bat speed.
Yeah, so bat speed got released publicly last year, something we've been tracking for, as long as Hitting's existed at Driveline with the blast sensor.
Yeah, something like, so like early stages before we actually had blast sensors, we just knew that hitting the ball hard was a good thing.
Yeah.
We had hit tracks, we had bat speed trainers, we were trying to help guys hit the ball harder. Ran into some issues there, which we can get into at another time in terms of like bat path and actual bat ball quality. But yeah, something like 2018 winter, maybe 2019 is when we really started to incorporate the blast sensor and like really lean into the bat speed side of things.
Yeah. No, it's cool to see the data publicly now, so other people are starting to appreciate how important it is. Like a lot of preconceived notions of like the pitcher supplying the power and all that just objectively are not true. Like you can test with some physics, basically determine exit velo is 80% bat speed, 20% pitcher velocity. So hugely important in translating to exit velocity on the field, which we know hitting the ball harder is generally more valuable. What is it? A mile an hour bat speed is 1.2 miles an hour exit velo?
Yeah, it's like for every 1 mile an hour of bat speed, assuming all things remain equal, perfect contact quality, obviously, you're going to get up to about 1.2 miles per hour in exit velocity.
Yeah.
And then from there, that's going to equate to something like 4 to 7 feet of distance. So like that's honestly been one of the most impactful things working with all of our hitters, but especially guys at the big league level. These guys are damn near neurotic in terms of like remembering very specific instances through the year. So like generally our big league guys historically had something like 2 miles an hour throughout the course of the off season. For the most part translated into the season, are able to maintain it depending on how well they train throughout the year, right? But like one of the things that really stands out to them, it's like, hey, if you added a mile an hour, 2 miles an hour of bat speed, those balls that get caught at the track or hang up, maybe get off the wall, those become doubles, that become homers. Right? So it's like there was a story when Arenado first came in. It was basically ran the barrel script on him. If he would have added 2 miles an hour, he would have had like something like 16, 17 more barrels. And he pretty much remembered every single batted ball that got caught at the wall or off the wall that would have been a homer. And that was the thing that like immediately clicked with him. Why he bought into believing that he needed to swing the bat faster. Yeah. And he went off to have one of the best years of his career afterwards.
Yeah, no, it definitely can influence the game in many different ways, turning those expected well-hit balls into actually well-hit balls from the results perspective. When it comes to training bat speed, you mentioned like 2 miles an hour in an off-season for a big league hitter. What does that look like relative to what a guy might do otherwise in the off-season?
It's like how you go about
like how does that training look compared to what is normal off season?
Yeah, so there are a few ways to go about increasing your bat speed, right? It's not completely the stigma where you're just taking absolute long disconnected G hacks in the cage.
Yeah.
There's obviously value in trying to move the bat fast. Like you're going to get some stimulus from that over time. But like generally getting stronger, more powerful in the weight room, that's generally the lowest hanging fruit there. You can increase your bat speed by just moving more efficiently. That's where biomechanics assessment is really important in the test-retest process there. It's like mechanical efficiency is an easy way to increase your speed, and we can get into that, the dynamics there between the high-performance side and the hitting side. It's like your expected bat speed versus your actual from the physical skill capabilities. And generally, it's like the intent to try to move the bat fast. That's where you can bake in things like a blast sensor for swing by swing feedback, the overload, underload bat speed trainers. They have a little bit more nuanced use in that case. But yeah, the main way is like get stronger, more powerful, improve mechanical efficiency, and it's like intent-based training with like really tight feedback loops.
Yeah, I think one thing you mentioned there of we don't want guys to just get a big loopy G-hack type swing. I feel like a lot of people externally sometimes view Driveline as doing that, but with the blast sensor, all this data that was just dropped on Savant, we have attack angle, horizontal attack angle, vertical bat angle. Those are all things we're constantly looking at. We're not just bat speed only. We're bat speed under the constraints of your swing path needs to be as good or better
Yep.
than it previously was.
Yeah, you need a lot of context when you're going into like the mindset of training and improving bat speed.
Yeah.
That's where Blast has been really, really valuable for us because you're obviously getting bat speed data, but you're getting some swing bat path type stuff with it too. That's a lot of the reason I'm really excited that obviously MLB's had bat speed data out for over a year now, going back to the second half of 2023. But now you have attack angle, you have point of contact. So it's like that's something we found in the early stages when we were training bat speed. It's like bat speed was the main output we were focused on.
Yeah.
We found that there were some negative impacts on bat path itself. It's where it's like really important to understand the dynamics of like your bat speed is pretty highly correlated to your point of contact. Obviously, there's an acceleration element where it's like if you can accelerate the barrel well, get up to speed quickly deep in the zone, you can create more speed deep, hit the ball harder deep in the zone.
There's a good piece by Petriello on Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get into that too.
Yeah.
But where I'm going with that, it's like bat speed is going to be very, very much correlated to your point of contact. So is your attack angle.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why I'm excited that now we have this context on the MLB side, right? It's like as you're catching the ball further on the front, barrel has more time to accelerate. Bat speed's generally going to be faster.
Yeah.
But at the same time, your attack angle is going to go up in that same way. So like deeper in the zone, when you're working in your downswing, there is a negative down move, the downward move at the initiation phase in the swing. Like attack angle, you can think of it like almost like an airplane taking off. So like you're going to work down negative and like flatten out deep in the zone, and then you're gradually going to increase the attack angle over time. So in terms of training bat speed and paying attention to these things, right, it's like not all bat speed is created equal. It's like you can kind of control for the gains there, paying attention to point of contact and paying attention to your attack angle, right? Now, on one hand, if the guy's bat speed goes way up, that's obviously going to be a good thing. But if you see their attack angle skyrockets with it because they're catching everything out in front, that's not necessarily going to be like usable bat speed.
It's a different swing. You didn't improve bat speed in the swing the guy had. You created a whole new approach.
Exactly. So yeah, it's like if you can increase your bat speed while maintaining like similar point of contact on average, similar attack angles on average, that's a really, really good sign, indicative like that is probably going to start to translate to the field.
Yeah.
If you're just increasing bat speed for the sake of increasing bat speed, getting really long, increasing the swing length, catching balls really far out in front, having really high attack angles, that's obviously going to like pull your barrel off plane. That's going to hurt you on the adjustability side of things. So it's like having access to all this public data now from the MLB side is going to be really, really valuable, and we're going to learn a lot from it.
Yeah. There's with that point, there were a few guys that Saris wrote about that had dropped bat speed. If you just look at the raw bat speed number, but a bunch of them, I think Soto was one of them. He's down maybe a mile an hour, but his swing length is shorter. So, like you're saying, did he really lose bat speed? Maybe not. He
Probably
is
not.
yeah,
At least not like the raw capability.
yeah. He didn't get weaker or whatever.
And that's one of the first places you look when you see a drastic change in somebody's bat speed.
Yeah.
At least when we're working with guys in gym, right? Like you do something like hit tracks, you have point of contact feedback for every single swing.
Now MLB.
So you see that like, okay, guy's bat speed is down, right? The first place I'm going to go look is I'm going to go look at their point of contact. I'm going to look at their attack angle. That's going to tell you a lot. So it's like, okay, you're just catching the ball really deep. Maybe this was your first time hitting against velocity in a while.
Yeah.
You know, it's we're coming into the college summer. We have a lot of guys that trained in the winter, last summer, were with their teams all season. They're obviously seeing velocity in game, but not so much in a training space. A lot of times hitters don't like to get challenged in season by high velocity. It's pretty important. Guys don't like it because it's difficult. But that's one of the things you commonly see when guys start to come back after their college seasons, after their high school seasons. They come in here and you see a drop in their bat speed. And a lot of times it's just because they're late.
Yeah.
Very often they're just getting blown up by a machine.
So
that context is like really, really valuable in terms of how you go about building out training programs and what a guy really needs to focus on.
Yeah. Connor, from your perspective on the swinging faster versus harder debate, I know you have some research on a guy's total ability to create bat speed. How exactly did you measure that and create that proxy?
Yeah, I think starting with something Tanner referred to there of like the like max raw bat speed, like how hard can a guy swing a bat, isn't really like what we're measuring with like StatCast here, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not seeing like how hard can Juan Soto like actually swing a bat. Like if you just put a blast on him and said swing as hard as you can, that's not going to be the same number. And that taking that to the next step is kind of when I think about how these properties all work together, is thinking like for the individual, is the problem like capacity or coordination? Like, do you have the physical capacity, the technical capacity to do this thing? Like, are you physically capable of it? And then the second step, the coordination, is can you do that within the demands of your sport, the task within that sport, whatever it is. So we can kind of like work up the chain a little bit to go from like bat speed as capacity to like the actual batted ball events as coordination. Bat speed is also a coordination of the more general, which is going to be like what I work on in the weight room with guys, right? Like the physical development. And with that, the goal really comes back to a lot of what Tanner's talking about, of how the bat speed training isn't just about like taking big rips with the bat, right? Because it's all else equal. And one of the best ways to keep all else equal in your swing is to work on the things that influence bat speed that aren't part of your swing. And part of that is training the body to be able to tolerate and output extreme amounts of force extremely quickly through large ranges of motion. In gym, we have force plates, table tests, all of this, where we have our expected bat speed model, and we can get really nitty gritty with that. On the MLB side, which is what you were bringing up there, we can kind of get a proxy for that by using an athlete's like sprint speed and their body weight. So if we take sprint velocity and body mass, we get sprint momentum, which is commonly used in like track or football. It's coined truck stick by Tony Holler, well-known sprint coach. That's telling us like that interaction of like size and speed, which is basically like what we're trying to do on the force plates, right? Like the force plates are telling us we don't really care like how high are you jumping, right? That jumping and swinging a bat aren't the same thing, but the property of being able to exert a lot of fast very quickly is part of both of those. Being able to exert a lot of force really fast is also part of sprinting, right? So we don't see quite the same tie that we do in gym with the force plates as we do with the sprint stuff, but the sprint momentum is a strong predictor of bat speed in the MLB.
The Chase Claypool score.
The Chase Claypool score. Yeah, we put it in the analytics cylinder. I think hopefully that's a good deep cut for some niche audience, niche part of our audience there. But with that, really that strong relationship, even at like the big league level, I think is really significant, because when we look at any metrics, like for our pitchers too, like the higher level you get for the skill, the less the like raw physical is usually a separator, right? Because like all these guys are freaks to some extent. But when it comes to bat speed and that with the MLB, like we still do see a distinct trend with that, where that capacity is still a separator, even with guys that are all so good at the coordination.
I think the capacity is really interesting. Just looking at the top end bat speeds in the league, there are a lot of great hitters on there, like Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, both swing the bat incredibly fast. There's a lot of guys who haven't had great production so far. It's not like, oh, you swing the bat fast, great. You're in this elite club of great production as well. But I thought it was really interesting looking at the correlation between that momentum, sprint momentum you created, and then using that to predict their bat speed, and finding that the guys that have the high capacity and don't exactly use all of it all the time square the ball up significantly better than those who are living at the top end of their capacity.
That residual, right, of the predicted bat speed, or sprint momentum predicted bat speed, being a good predictor of is it barrel percent or
squared up
percent? Yeah, those guys is the metric there. Was super interesting, because I kind of expected it to be like the other way around. Like if you swing the bat faster than we'd think that your body would, I would think like, okay, that's somebody with really good coordination. They're probably good at finding barrels because they're getting more out of their body than we'd expect. But the numbers actually show like the opposite, right? Like they're getting less, where you'd see like if you break that down into like 4 parts, like the guys in the top right, where it's like can swing really fast, do swing pretty fast, like that's ideal. But then the guys that can swing pretty fast and swing about average produce the guys that swing faster than you'd think, which for me I think points towards kind of that like reserve, and coming back to what Tanner mentioned a while back now, of like your raw bat speed isn't the same as what shows up on the field, and having that reserve, like in sprint training we call it like speed reserve. The difference between your top sprint velocity and your sprint velocity of VO2 max would usually be what the second one would be. I think that something like a bat speed reserve, I think, is kind of what that residual would be like, or even the difference between like your max training bat speed and what you show in games. And Tanner, I think in a blog that we've done before, we have some evidence that points towards like operating below your like actual peak is actually more effective.
Yeah.
Am I right on that?
Yeah. So we basically found in terms of, I believe it was ex-Wobicon, excuse me. In terms of ex-Wobicon, we found that guys were the most productive when they were swinging at about 90 to 95% of their peak bat speed, which just makes sense. And that goes back into the idea of like swinging hard versus swinging fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's like the goal isn't to move the bat really, really fast. The goal is to be a good hitter and be productive in games.
Yeah.
And like increasing your bat speed is going to help you do that. But realistically, there's very, very few times in an actual game where a hitter is swinging at 100% intensity.
Right.
Yeah.
Never happens. And a lot of times, even like the 3-0, 3-1 count situations, guys say they don't like to swing 3-0 and take the G-hack because they get really out of control and they're not successful. And that just makes sense if you've never trained at that type of speed. You're not going to be able to translate it to the most difficult types of environments.
Well, at the MLB level, it's not like the 3-0 pitch you're seeing as some.
Yeah.
It's not getting lobbed in there.
Yeah, it's
like
not so much the cookie anymore.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, it just goes back to the idea of like you're not trying to swing hard. Like, you want to be able to swing fast and you want to be able to control it. So that there's like training implications there, right? And that's why when we're truly tracking bat speeds in gym, we're not tracking it off of front toss, off the tee, BP.
Yeah.
We're tracking it off of game-like environments. Now you can obviously swing faster off of like a blocked pitch on the pitching machine when you know a fastball or a breaking ball is coming. But now with things like traject, things like the eye pitch where you can mix pitches, like you can get really, really good training insights. And guys can get so much better trying to take the raw bat speed that they have in like the more controlled environments, whether it's the mocap or the drill work, BP, whatever. It's like you have this raw bat speed, but if it's not translating to the game-like environment, it's like there's an issue.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I love. Like our motion capture environment is very controlled, but especially when I'm working with a high-level hitter, I tell them it's like I want you to swing fast. Like I want this to get to the point where it's borderline breaking down because I want to know what is breaking down, when, and why.
Sure.
Because that gives you direct signal on what you need to target so this person can take maybe the raw bat speed they have the ability and figure out like what's breaking down on the coordination side, target that in their training so that when they want to ramp it up a little bit, you can control it in the game.
Yeah.
Well, having that picture is so valuable for these guys because, when you look at a guy's numbers, and especially, now like we know they're in game bat speeds, right? So then you start to get that picture of what are you in high context environment, what's your actual ceiling? Because if these are the same, then okay, we need to raise the ceiling, we need to raise the capacity. But if it's like, oh man, like this guy's a beast when it's off the eye pitch or the mini hack, but then like lights come on, it's not BP anymore, like now he's struggling. Stop working on taking G hacks. Start working on the actual like problem that you have in your swing.
And that gets back into like the mechanical efficiency side of things. It's like maybe something's going on with your sequencing. Maybe something's breaking down during your stride where you can't maintain your posture. So that like when you ramp up the intensity, you get very upper body dominant, pulling your barrel off plane, and you're just like obviously not going to be adjustable.
Right.
Bat ball quality is obviously not going to be good. You're going to struggle in the game, and like that's the problem. It's like the whole point of any of this.
Yes, for
don't get me wrong. Like I care a lot about bat speed, but if it's not translating to the game, it's like you're wasting your time.
Well, none of the metrics exist in isolation.
Yeah.
Like bat speed is
all just context.
Yeah, exactly. Bat speed is whatever the primary marker we're using if you're going to improve your bat speed, but you can't just change bat speed and not change anything else unless you've done it solely via HP.
Right. And even then, right,
Yeah.
you're influencing like
You're a different
you only have
human
one body,
then.
right? It's not like you have your swinging body and your lifting body. Like it's all the same tissue and nervous system and all of that. Like you're changing. You're not just like getting that bat speed like
added.
Yeah, it's not just you're like leveling up your player in the show. Like
spend $100.
Yeah, like you're actually changing something to generate more force.
Driveline and like after 6 weeks magically have more bat speed.
Yeah.
No.
I think
might feel like that though.
That'd be nice.
With the capacity thing you were talking about, I don't think there's any better example than this in the majors than Stephen Kwan. So Kwan is second lowest average bat speed in MLB, with guys like Luis Arias and Jacob Wilson. But if you were to look at his numbers at the end of the year, he's not at the top of any leaderboards, but he had 14 home runs last year. If you look at his bat speed distribution, he's sitting between like 60 and 68 miles an hour on average, but he swings the bat like 5% of the time at 72 miles an hour or higher. He has that in the tank. He's sitting lower, great bat to ball skills, but you get a 3-0 count, you have a pretty good feeling of what pitch is coming, you can tap into that and let it eat.
That's a good example of the idea of how your bat speed correlates to your point of contact, especially with a hitter like that.
Yeah.
It's like really, really good bat to ball skills, and knowing the Guardians organization well enough, you know that they care about guys pulling the ball in the air, especially in a case like that where your bat to ball skills are elite. You can pick your spots at certain times to sell out from pull side ball flight. So if you're trying to hit the ball in the air to the pull side, maybe it's just like game state situation, maybe count state, where it's like, all right, like I could sell out right now. I think I'm going to get a fastball. Going to try to catch it out in front, try to pull it in the air with backspin. It's like, I don't have a ton of bat speed capability, but like I could square a ball up to the pull side and leave the yard.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a key point there, in knowing when to channel that is very important, because a lot of times the second best outcome is a whiff. It's not making contact. Crappy contact in an 0-0 count is one of the worst things you can do. Your chopper to the pitcher is not good. And I know we've debated this and how should we value contact in our models and stuff. But if you are a guy like Quan, you're going to let it eat. Let's go either barrel or strike one. Like we don't want crappy contact.
That's generally one of the most difficult things to get across with high bats ball type hitters.
Yeah.
Just subconsciously, you're just taught your whole life that swinging and missing is bad. So you whiff, you feel like you failed.
Yeah.
But that's a much, much, much better outcome than the first pitch of it at bat, slowing yourself down and making shitty contact.
Yeah.
You're going to get out every single time, especially if your bat speed capabilities are low.
Yeah. I think Jacob Wilson's a good example of that now, and he's been great this year. But I think he has room to even improve more. I mean, it took him a month to see a 3-ball count, and it's like the counterintuitive fact of like, no, your bat to ball is so good, you can afford to get to 2 strikes more often. Of like, you're the guy that's lucky enough to let it eat on an 0-0 pitch, not a 3-0 pitch. And if he can channel that more, because he's hit a few home runs this year, has shown some power capabilities, I think he could be a really, really good hitter.